Chapter 6. Natural Death. Time progressed upon the earth, and while the earth did not seem to erode with age, man did. It was the concern of us all, the increasing decline of the health of our now skin-wrinkled, white-haired, aged foreparents. Father Adam and Mother Eve seemed to wane in strength with each passing day. Still even more difficult to bear were the many infirmities they suffered. Of all the offspring of our forefather Adam, Seth was of the most concern. He was the favorite of his mother, and though he was also advanced in years, he catered hand and foot to his aged parents. In the 308th year of my existence on the face of the earth, and the 930th of our aged forefather Adam, did he fall sick, and he cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Let all my sons come to me, that I may see them before I die." We gathered ourselves at the place in which the patriarch dwelled, I and Edney, my son Methuselah and his wife Edna, Lamech, my father Jared, my mother Baraka, Mahalalel, and Dinah, Canaan and Malaleth, Enos and Nam, Seth and Azurah, and all the offspring from our aged foreparents who were separated to the worship of the Lord Jael. Mother Eve had prepared a pallet on the ground, and was dabbing the face of her husband with cool water in an attempt to ease his discomfort. We gathered around, the eldest toward the middle, and Seth at his father's side. Adam said to Seth, "Hear, my son Seth, that I may relate to you what I heard and saw after your mother and I were cast from paradise. When we were at prayer, there came to me Michael the archangel, one of the holy ones of heaven, a messenger of God. And I saw a chariot like the wind, and its wheels were fiery, and I was caught up into the paradise of righteousness. I saw the Lord Jael sitting, and his face was flaming fire that could not be endured. Many thousands of angels were round about him. When I saw this, I was confused and terror seized me, and I bowed myself low before him. Jael spoke to me and said, 'Adam, your time of death is near because you did transgress my commandment. You chose to listen to the voice of your wife. I gave you the power to hold her to your will, and you exercised it not.' When I heard these words, I stretched forth flat on the earth and said, 'My Lord, all-powerful and merciful God, holy and righteous one, please do not blot out my name from your memory, for I am about to die, and my breath is about to go out of my mouth. Please, Lord God, do not banish me from you forever.' After I said these things, then the Lord said to me, 'Since the time that I created you, you have been created with a love of knowledge. Because of this, I shall not take away from your offspring the right to serve me.' When I heard these things, I gave ever-increasing praise to the Lord and proclaimed, 'You, Lord Jael, are the true light gleaming above all lights. You are the living life, the infinite mighty power. You have bestowed upon the race of men the abundance of your mercy.' After I had worshipped the Lord, Michael seized my hand, and cast me from the paradise of vision. Michael held in his hand a rod, and with it he touched the water surrounding paradise, and the water became as crystal, hard to the touch. He escorted me across the water, and brought me back to the place from which I was taken. Listen to me, my son, as I make known to you all of the secrets which were revealed to me by my eating of the forbidden tree. This is what will occur in the age of men, and these are the intentions of the Lord God concerning the race of men. The Lord will appear in a flame of fire, and a two-edged sword shall protrude from his mouth. From his mouth will he utter commandments and statutes, and they shall sanctify him in the house of his habitation, and he will show them the marvelous place of his majesty. They shall build a house to the Lord Jael, in a land he has prepared for them. They shall be a headstrong people, and they will transgress his laws, and their sanctuary will be burned, and their land deserted, and the people dispersed. Twice shall this occur, but once more will Jael cause them to be regathered, and again they shall build the house of God, and in the last the house of God shall be exalted greater than of old. Then once more will iniquity exceed righteousness. Then Jael will dwell with men on earth, and righteousness will begin to shine. The house of God will be honored, and their enemies will no longer be able to hurt they who believe in God. Jael will stir up for himself a faithful people, whom he shall save for all eternity, and the impious shall be punished. Heaven and earth, night and day, and all creatures shall obey him. He shall repel from himself all the wicked, and they shall be condemned. Happy is the man who has ruled his soul when the judgment shall come to pass, and the greatness of Jael be seen among men, and their deeds inquired into by him, the just judge. After Adam said these things to his son, he broke forth in awful groaning, saying, "My sons, I am sick with pain." And all said to him, "What does it mean, Father, this illness and pain?" Then Seth said to Adam, "Father, perhaps you are desiring the fruit of paradise. Tell me, and I will go to the nearest gate of Eden, and I will place dust upon my head, and throw myself down on the ground, and lament and make entreaty to the Lord on your behalf. Perhaps he will hear me, and send his angel to bring me the fruit." Adam answered and said, "No, my son, I do not long for the fruit, but I feel weakness and great pain in my body." Seth answered, "What is this suffering, my father? Hide it not from us, but please tell us what it is." Adam looked towards his son's face, gazing down on him. Bewilderment touched across Seth's searching eyes. Adam gripped tighter his son's hand and began saying, "When the Lord Jah-El made us, me and your mother, he gave us power to eat of every tree which is in paradise, but concerning one only he charged us not to eat. It is because of this disobedience that I die. When we were in the garden, we were guarded by the angels of Jah-El, and the hour drew nigh for the angels that were guarding your mother to go up and worship before the throne. I was far from her, and the enemy knew that she was alone and deceived her, and gave her the forbidden fruit. Then she gave also to me, and I did eat. The Lord was extremely angered with us, and he came to paradise and called us forth in a voice great and terrible, and there he cursed us. He said to me, 'Adam, because you have broken my commandment, I have brought upon your body 72 strokes. The trouble of the first stroke is the pain of the eyes. The affliction of the second stroke is of the hearing, and likewise in turn shall all of the strokes against your flesh befall you.'" As Adam said this to his son, he clutched his chest and moaned, "What shall I do? I am in great distress." Eve wept and said, "Adam, rise up and give me half of your trouble, and I shall endure it, for it is on my account that you suffer." Adam exhaled a long burdened sigh, his agony finally convincing him to desperation, and said to his wife, "Eve, arise and go with our son Seth near to paradise, and place dirt upon your heads, and weep, and pray before the Lord. Ask him to have mercy on me, and send his angel to paradise, and give me of the tree out of which the oil flows, and bring it to me that I should anoint myself, and cure this ailment." Seth and Eve arose and went toward the direction of paradise. Seth, being the faster, ran ahead of his mother. When Eve finally caught up with him, she saw her son being assailed by a wild beast, a conter. Eve screeched at the beast, her arms flailing, and screamed, "You wicked cat! How dare you to fight against the image of God? How is it that your mouth is opened against him? Why have you not called to mind your subjection?" As Eve shouted these things, she knew full well the answers. How had her mouth opened to eat of the tree in which Jah-El had commanded her not to eat? On this account had the very earth fallen into imperfection, and the beasts of the earth were no longer under the subjection of man. As the conter darted into the cover of the jungle, Seth shouted defiantly, "Close your mouth against the image of God, and do not attack me again from this day forward until the day of judgment." Eve and Seth arrived at the gate of paradise, and forthwith they began making entreaty to the Lord of hosts. Then the Lord Jah-El sent Michael, and Michael said to Seth, "Man of God, do not weary yourself with prayers and entreaties concerning the tree of life, for your father shall not have it now, but at the end of time. Then will all flesh be raised up, from your father Adam till that great day, all that shall be of the holy people. Then shall the delights of paradise be given to them, and the Lord will be in their midst. They will no longer sin before his face, for the evil hearts shall be taken away from them. There shall be given to them in return a heart understanding only the good, and to serve God for eternity. Go back to your father, for the term of his life has been fulfilled, and in 3 days' time shall he die. When his soul is departing, you shall behold the scene of his passing." Michael then made his departure from them, and Eve and Seth returned to Adam and told him all that the archangel had said. With that Adam gazed up at his wife and in a voice projecting blame said, "Eve, Eve, what have you caused in us? You have brought upon us death, and it is lording over all our children." Then Adam demanded his wife to tell us all the manner of her sin. When Eve had relayed to us all that was in her heart, she said, "Now then, my children, I have made known to you the way in which I was deceived. Be careful in your lives that you transgress not against the good. When Eve had said this in the midst of us, while Adam was lying before us tormented by his pain, Eve questioned him in a voice of wonderment, saying, "How is it that you are dying and I live on? How much longer will I have to live after your death?" Adam answered without opening his pain-clenched eyes and said, "Think not concerning it, Eve, for you are soon to follow." Then he continued, "When I die, anoint me with oil and let no man touch me further until the angel of the Lord shall give instruction concerning me. For God will not forget me. Now arise, and go and pray until my spirit is given into the hands of he who gave it. Pray concerning me, for we know not how we shall meet our Maker, whether he be angry with us or merciful and intend to have pity on us and receive us." On the third day Eve rose from the shelter built for Adam in his sickness, went outside, and fell to the ground and began to lament, "I have sinned, O God! I have sinned, O God of all! I have sinned against you." While she was praying these words, the angel of humanity, Michael, appeared before her and raised her up and said, "Arise, Eve, for behold your husband Adam has gone out from his body. Arise, and behold his spirit borne aloft to meet his Maker." Eve rose up and wiped away her tears with her hands. The angel said to her, "Lift up your eyes and see." Eve gazed steadfastly into heaven, and again she saw Jael's chariot of light burned by 4 bright angels. It was impossible for any born of women to tell of the glory of those that bore the chariot. When they came to the place where the spirit of Adam was, they halted, the chariot and the seraphim. She saw a golden censer placed between the chariot and the spirit of Adam, and all the angels with censers and frankincense came in haste to the incense offering and blew it, and the smoke veiled the sky. Then the angels fell down and worshipped Jael, crying aloud, "Jael, Holy One, have pardon, for he is your image, and the work of your holy hands." Eve beheld 2 great and fearful wonders standing in the presence of God, and she cried aloud to Seth and said, "Seth, come forth from the body of your father. Come to me, and you shall see a spectacle." Seth came forth from the hut of his parents, and upon seeing his mother asked, "What is the trouble? Why are you weeping?" Eve replied, "Look up and see with your eyes the heavens opened, and see how the spirit of your father lies on its face, and all the holy angels praying on his behalf, saying, 'Please, Lord Jael, pardon him, Father of all, for he is your image.'" The angels that were lying on their faces stood, and cried aloud in voices like trumpet blasts, saying, "Blessed be the glory of the Lord and the works of his making. He has pitied Adam, the creature of his hands." When the angels had said these words, there came forth one of the seraphim, and he took the spirit of Adam and washed him 3 times in the lake known as Acherusian. Then the Lord Jael said, "Adam, what have you done? If you had only kept my commandment, there would be no joy in the domain of he that is called Satan. Yet I say to you, I will transform you again to your former glory. I will set you upon the throne of your deceiver. He shall be cast into a place that I have reserved for him, but first shall he see you in his place. Then shall he be condemned, he and all that followed him. He shall be grieved throughout eternity when he sees you sitting at the position that was once his." Jael permitted Adam to lie before him for 3 hours. Thereafter the Lord of hosts stretched forth his hand and took Adam, and placed him in the care of Michael. Michael took Adam and left him in the holding place of saints. After all this, the angels asked concerning the laying out of the remains. Jael commanded that the angels should assemble in his presence, each in his order, and all the angels did so. Then the Lord of hosts approached us. He came forth mounted on the 4 winds with all the hosts of heaven, some with censers and others with golden trumpets, and all settled in the Garden of Eden. The throne chariot of the Lord landed, and rested over the tree of life. As the hosts of heaven approached their point of touchdown, all of the fragrant flowers of paradise were stirred, and the intoxicating aroma caused us all to fall into a deep sleep, all save for Seth, because he was born according to the appointment of God. Adam's body lay there on the earth, and Seth grieved over his father. Jael spoke to the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, and said, "Go into paradise and bring back oil of the oil of fragrance and pour it on his body." The angels did as Jael commanded, and upon their return busied themselves in preparing Adam's body for burial. Then Jael said, "Let the body of Abel also be brought, for he is unburied since the day Cain killed him." For wicked Cain took great pains to conceal him but could not, for the earth would not receive him. Both Adam and Abel his son were buried in the earth, by the instructions of Jael. They were buried in the very same place from which Jael had taken the dust to form him. Jael sent 7 angels throughout Eden, and they brought back many fragrant spices, and placed them in the graves. Then the Lord said, "From dust you were taken, and to dust you shall return." With Adam's burial complete, Jael turned his attention to Seth and said, "Seth, you alone have witnessed the burial place of your father. Speak not its location to any, for I forbid it." Seth fell to the ground, and lay prostrate before the Lord of spirits, and replied, "I shall obey your word, Lord God. My mouth is sealed." Jael summoned his forces, but unlike his coming to earth, his angels did not precede his departure. Seth stood gazing at the throne chariot. How immense it was in its proportion of sitting over the garden of paradise! Seth stood astonished as the cherubim of the 4 wheels began beating their mighty wings, first slowly as the beatings of whooping cranes as they prepare for flight. Then without warning the wings of the cherubim changed to the pitch of a hummingbird, then to that of a bee. They beat at such a speed that Seth could no longer see them, and the 4 cherubim of the wheels appeared as though they were men fixed upon nothing in the center of the wheels. The sound was as no sound that Seth could describe, and the winds created by their beating wings sent the greenery of paradise violently lashing to and fro. First the chariot of Jael moved ever so slightly, then without warning it lifted upwards, moved backwards, then sideways to the right. It moved with the mechanical quickness as is the flight of a hovering dragonfly, as if to align itself in some proper coordinates. Jael's leaving earth was of such swiftness that Seth could not determine his departure, for in 1 second the chariot of Jael was then it was not. All of the billions of angels that had come to earth with God followed his departure, and their departure was as lightning moves from earth to sky. As they departed they sang songs of praise. The spectacle of such was indescribable and witnessed only by Seth. As the final angel ascended there was created a vortex, and the syrupy sweetness of the flowers was vacuumed away from the earth. In a short space of time we began to awaken, and Seth began to relay to us all that he saw. We sat before him trance-like, our attention clinging to each syllable that came from his mouth. 6 days after Adam's death, Eve perceived that she too was about to die. She assembled all her sons and daughters, and said, "Hear me, my children. I will tell you what the archangel Michael said to your father and I after ousting from paradise, that because of our transgressing the law of Jael the Lord God would bring upon our race the anger of his judgment. First by water, the second by fire. By these 2 will the Lord judge the whole human race. So hearken to my instruction. Make both tablets of stone and of clay. Write on them all that you have seen and heard from us. Then if by water the Lord judge our race, the tablets of clay will dissolve and the tablets of stone will remain. If by fire the tablets of stone will be broken, and the tablets of clay will be baked hard." Eve's health deteriorated speedily before our eyes. She grieved and wept bitterly concerning her husband's passing into death. But the thing that tortured her most was that she knew not where he was buried, for when the Lord buried Adam she was asleep, she and all we offspring save for Seth. It was the decree of Jael that Adam's burial place be unknown, that we would not cause it to become a shrine and a place of sorrow. Eve prayed earnestly in the hour of her death, that she too would be buried in the same place as her husband. After Eve had prayed she gazed heavenward, and groaned aloud, and smote her breasts, and said, "God of all, receive my spirit." And straightway she delivered up her spirit to the holding place of the Lord Jael. Michael was dispatched to earth and taught Seth how to prepare his mother for burial. Then Michael and the 3 angels that accompanied him took Eve's body and buried it in the place where Adam and Abel were. Thereafter, Michael spoke to Seth with these instructions: "Lay out in this wise every man that dies, till the day of the resurrection." After giving him this rule Michael continued, "Mourn not beyond 6 days but on the 7th rest, and rejoice in it, because on the 7th day God rejoices, and we angels also, for the soul that has passed from earth in his favor awaits him in paradise." Then the 4 angels glorified God, saying, "Holy, holy, holy, is the Lord God Jael. Heaven and earth are full of his glory." With that praise completed, The angels lifted themselves from the earth's surface to return from whence they had come. Seth, myself, and all of our family who maintain the laws of Ja'el, stood motionless for a great long while, heads tilted upward toward the direction in which the angels of Ja'el had ascended. Some wept openly, while others wailed hysterically of the events that had transpired in such a short period of time. They were no more, they were gone, our primary parents, our most ancient elders, our link to what was. We who remained were initiated into still yet another outcome of our parents' transgression, that being the helpless sensation of total despair. We followed the instructions of Michael and on the seventh day rejoiced, finding comfort in his words. Surely our aged forebearers were now free. No sickness, no pain of agedness, no adversary any more. Such an unnational occurrence as death was now natural to man, and men were dying in abundance. While we who were godly could look forward to length of life, it was not so for the ungodly, for murder and human sacrifice were practiced amongst them. The offspring of the evil watchers were at war with one another, and the bloodletting was of hideous proportion. The stench of ungodliness kept us distant from those who lived lives of wantonness and debauchery, while our own stench of inherent sin kept us from entering Eden, the cherubim of the garden's entrance and the flaming sword of the Spirit a constant reminder. As darkness draped the seventh day, I lay awake in our place of abode, our fire's light casting dancing shadows on the walls and ceiling. I inhaled the aromas of my life, playing a game of holding them in and trying not to let them go. I listened to my wife Edney sleeping beside me. I perused the events of the past 12 days, and the jubilation of this day. I thought of the Lord God Ja'el, and all that I was shown concerning the evil watchers. For some inexplicable reason, a reason that surely escaped my own understanding, I was chosen, called of him. How mystical and amazing were these times of my dwelling on the earth. It was in this fit of wonderment and perplexity, my mind formulating thoughts at the speed of a cherub's travel, that I finally succumbed to sleep, gentle, restful, and peaceful sleep.